My name is George. I grew up in Florida, in what most people would call a pretty normal family. But inside me, nothing felt normal. When I was 18, something began stirring inside me that I couldn't ignore. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. Just this subtle, whispering feeling. Like there was another person living inside me, a softer, prettier version of me who wanted out. At first, I fought it. I told myself I was just imagining things. But late at night, when the house was quiet, I would slip into my sister's room and touch the fabric she left lying around. Her skirts, her blouses, her lingerie, they felt alive in my hands, smooth, delicate, forbidden. And then came the first step I couldn't take back. One evening, I picked up a pair of her panties. Pink, silky, trimmed with lace, my hands were shaking as I slid them up my legs. The fabric hugged me in a way nothing else ever had. I stood in front of the mirror, and for the first time in my life, I didn't see just George. I saw the shadow of the other person I had always known was hiding inside. It became a secret ritual. Whenever no one was home, I'd sneak into her drawer, pick something new, and dress myself. Panties one day, then a bra. Sometimes a little dress, barely fitting on my taller frame. I would stare at myself, half ashamed, half thrilled. But secrets don't stay hidden forever. Halloween was coming, and the whole neighborhood was buzzing with excitement. Costumes, parties, candy. My sister teased me. "You're so boring, George. You'll probably just go as a ghost again." But inside, I knew this was my chance. For once, I could step outside wearing what I really wanted, and people would just think it was a costume. That night, while everyone else was laughing and putting on masks, I opened my sister's closet and pulled out the dress I had admired for months. Tight, black, with thin straps that clung to the shoulders. It smelled faintly of her perfume. I didn't even hesitate. I stripped and slid it on. It fit better than I expected, hugging me in places that made me shiver. I added stockings, heels that were far too small, and just enough makeup to blur my face into something softer. When I looked in the mirror, I whispered, "This is me. This is who I am." And then I walked into the living room. The laughter stopped. My parents stared. My sister's jaw dropped. For a second, there was silence. Then my father spoke, his voice low and sharp. "George, what the hell are you wearing?" I tried to smile, to laugh it off like it was just a costume. "It's Halloween," I thought, but my mother cut me off. "Take it off. Right now. Before anyone sees you. This is disgusting." The words hit harder than a slap. My sister giggled nervously. "Oh my God, he raided my closet." "He actually looks like a girl?" My face burned hot. I wanted to disappear, but at the same time I couldn't move, because deep down, I didn't want to take it off. For the first time, I felt like myself. My father stood up, his face red. "You either change out of that right now or you leave this house. Do you understand me?" My hands trembled. My throat was dry. And then I whispered the words that changed my life. "Then I'll leave." Gasps filled the room. My sister's laughter died. My mother shook her head, horrified. I turned, heels clicking awkwardly on the floor, and walked out the front door into the night. I didn't even take a bag. Just the dress, the stockings, the makeup smudging on my face. And as I stepped into the cool Florida air, I heard soft footsteps behind me. I looked down. It was Milo, my cat. He meowed once, brushed against my leg, and followed me into the dark. I smiled through tears. At least I'm not alone. That was the night George died. The world mocked me, my family rejected me, but Milo chose me. From then on, it was just the two of us. I started with nothing. A part-time job at a diner, washing dishes until my fingers cracked, sleeping in a tiny rented room, eating cheap food, stretching every dollar. But every night, when I came home, I slipped into something soft, something feminine, and whispered to myself, "One day, I'll be her. One day, I'll be Georgia." The first weeks after I left home were brutal. I had no plan, no money, no safety net. Just a cheap room above a gas station, a handful of clothes I picked from a thrift store, and Milo, who curled up on my chest every night like he was the only one keeping me alive. But the craving never stopped. Every time I saw women walking by in skirts and heels, laughing with each other, I felt that ache in my chest. That whisper, "You should be one of them. That's who you really are." At the diner where I washed dishes, I was invisible. Nobody looked at me until the day I slipped up. It was closing time, the kitchen empty, and I thought I was alone. I had stuffed a little black slip under my uniform, stolen from a clearance rack. During my break, I had put it on under my shirt and pants, just to feel it against my skin while I worked. I thought nobody would notice. But as I reached up to grab a stack of plates, my shirt lifted. The edge of the slip showed. What the hell is that? It was Kyle, one of the line cooks. Big, loud, the type of guy who loved to mock everyone. He stepped closer, grinning like a wolf. "Are you wearing a dress under your uniform?" My face went red. I stammered. It's just," he burst out laughing, loud enough for the waitress in the front to hear. Soon they were both staring. Oh my God. George is a little sissy. Look at him. I wanted to crawl under the sink. My hands shook as I tried to pull my shirt down, but Kyle tugged at my sleeve, yanking it up just enough to flash the silky strap underneath. Well, guess you're not George anymore. What should we call you, Georgina? Georgia? They laughed until I thought my heart would explode. That night, I quit before they could fire me. I walked home humiliated, but also trembling with something else. The way Kyle had sneered the word Georgia, it stuck. It burned. It felt real. From then on, I couldn't stop thinking of myself as Georgia, even if the world spat it out like an insult. Life was a constant cycle of hiding and almost getting caught. My landlord once barged into my room when I was halfway into a dress. He just shook his head and muttered, "Figures," before walking away. For weeks after, he'd call me Miss whenever I paid the rent, smirking like he knew my secret better than I did. At a new job, one of the waitresses caught me adjusting the bra I had dared to wear beneath my shirt. She leaned in close, whispered in my ear, "Careful, sweetheart. People might think you like it a little too much." Then she winked and walked away, leaving me burning with both shame and excitement. Every encounter pushed me further. Every insult, every mocking laugh. It was like they were chiseling George away piece by piece until only Georgia was left. 10 years. That's how long it took. 10 years of scraping by, moving from job to job, learning makeup in the mirror late at night, practicing my voice in whispers so the neighbors wouldn't hear. 10 years of saving every dollar I could, keeping one dream alive: Thailand, surgery, the final step. By then, George was almost gone. Even strangers on the street sometimes called me ma'am without hesitation. I had long hair, soft curves from hormones, and clothes that no longer came from the men's section. But inside, I still carried that humiliation, those echoes of my parents shouting at me, my coworkers laughing. I wanted to erase George forever, and soon I would, because my ticket was booked. Thailand was waiting, and the next time I looked in a mirror, I wouldn't see George pretending to be Georgia. I would see Georgia, real, whole, undeniable. The airplane touched down in Thailand, and my chest tightened with nerves and excitement. After 10 long years, all the teasing, hiding, lonely nights with Milo curled against me, the moment was finally here. This wasn't just a flight. It was a ticket to freedom. I remember sitting in the taxi, watching Bangkok's skyline pass by, my hands trembling slightly. This is it. No more hiding. No more George. The clinic was small but immaculate. The kind staff spoke gentle English, smiling as they explained the process in words that calmed me. Milo wasn't allowed inside, of course, but I whispered to him in my mind, "I'll be back. We'll be together soon, just a little longer." Surgery day came. I won't go into the details. It was personal, emotional, and transformative. What I can tell you is how it felt afterward. When I woke up and glimpsed my reflection in the small hospital mirror, I barely recognized the person staring back. Long, soft hair framed my face. My features, delicate and feminine, looked natural, like they had always belonged there. I saw curves where there were none before. A body that matched the person I had felt myself to be all these years. I whispered, "Georgia." and the name finally felt like mine. Not a joke, not a punishment, not a tease from someone mocking me. This was me. Tears filled my eyes. 10 years of struggle, humiliation, hiding, and self-discovery all melted into that single moment of recognition. Milo purred from the pet hotel across town, waiting for me, unaware of the transformation but always loyal, always mine. Returning home was surreal. Florida felt different somehow, smaller yet familiar. Walking through the front door of my apartment, now as Georgia, I expected stares, whispers, maybe even laughter, but surprisingly the world seemed softer. Kinder neighbors smiled as I passed. Strangers complimented my outfit. I caught myself walking taller, head held high, voice smooth and confident. Even my reflection in shop windows didn't startle me. I had become the person I was meant to be, and Milo. Oh, Milo leapt into my arms like nothing had changed, tail flicking, purring, rubbing against me as if to say, "We made it." Of course, the world didn't magically become perfect. People still sometimes stared, whispered, or made assumptions. But I had learned something crucial over those 10 years. Their opinions didn't define me. My courage did. My choices did. My life, built from scratch, was mine. I started going out more confidently, exploring opportunities I had never dared to imagine as George. I returned to school, enrolled in classes I had postponed for years, and even considered starting a small business. Something creative, something authentic, something Georgia. I caught myself smiling every time someone addressed me correctly. "Miss Georgia," they'd say, and it felt like music. Not the teasing of my past, not the ridicule from Halloween or my cruel coworkers, but a validation of the journey I had endured. One night, as I sat on my balcony with Milo asleep in my lap, the city lights reflecting in his eyes, I realized something. Life wasn't about the name I was given or the people who mocked me. It was about being brave enough to claim the one I knew I was inside. From George, the timid, secretive boy, to Georgia, the woman standing on her own 2 feet. The journey had been long, messy, and full of unexpected allies. Milo, my little companion, had stayed every step of the way, proving that loyalty often comes in the smallest forms. And as I whispered to him, "This is only the beginning, Milo. There's so much more ahead," I felt a thrill of anticipation. The world was open now. Every challenge, every friendship, every possibility awaited Georgia. Finally, I had become whole, and the next chapter would be mine to write.